So will virtual reality gaming succeed or fail? Many people have started to weigh in with their opinion on this, more specifically in regards to PlayStation's VR in the wake of them announcing the release date and the price. Now, before I get further into the video, let me make one thing clear. This has nothing to do with my opinion on whether PlayStation VR is good or bad, or whether VR in general is good or bad. I don't have an opinion on if it's good or bad because I haven't been able to try it out yet. So be clear, that's not what I'm talking about in this video. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying it's bad because, like I said, I never tried it out. And just like there's many people out there who are saying it's horrible and it's gonna fail and it sucks, most of them have never tried it out. So I can't weigh in on something that I've never experienced. So that's not what this is about, like I said. What I want to talk about and discuss is what are the chances of it becoming a failure or success based on sales. Will it sell well or will it bomb hard? That's what I'm discussing. And here's what a lot of people are doing that doesn't make any sense. A lot of people are using their own wallets as a gauge and as a representative to determine whether people will buy this device or not. Your wallet, your budget does not represent the whole world. Just because you can't afford something or you wouldn't buy something, you are not symbolic to the rest of the consumers in the whole world. You're not. So saying something won't sell because of your pockets is stupid. It makes no sense. And the same thing goes vice versa. For example, I know I can afford PlayStation VR at the price where it's at, but I'm not dumb enough to think that just because I can afford it, that means everybody else in the world can afford it and that everybody else is going to buy it. So you can't use those factors as a determination to gauge whether people are going to buy it or not and whether it's going to be a success or a failure. You got to look at certain events and occurrences that prove and show evidence that this product will sell or it won't sell. You got to look at the market, numbers, statistics, sales trends, consumer interest, and all of those things. Those are that's what's really indicative of what people are buying or selling, not your personal bank account. So I just want to talk about what I see as some positives that I think are in favor and advantageous to PlayStation VR selling, and some cons, some negatives that it has working against it. First thing I think is a positive thing that they have going for it is the October release date. It's actually a negative and a positive. I have that on both on my negative and positive list, my pros and cons list. It's an the October release date is good because it's March now. That's about 7 months from now. So it gives people that may want it a lot of time to plan it into their budget. They know the price, they know when it's coming out, they have plenty of time to get ready for it. So they didn't launch it in May or anything like that, like some people were actually predicting. And that might have hit people too soon. This way, a lot of people have or can make a plan to get ready for it. And Sony as a company, during this time frame that they have until it comes out, they have to prove to the consumers why this product is so good. They have to get people to try it out. They have to market it. They have to promote it, and that's what they're doing. So they have a lot of time to do that. So the October release date is somewhat of a positive thing. And the next thing is, I even believe the $400 base price tag is a good thing. Like I said in my previous video, I think it is a good middle ground for consumers and the company based on how expensive we know VR is. It's an entry level VR headset, and it's cheaper than all the competitors. They're undercutting all the competitors, the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift. So I think the $400 price tag, regardless of the fact that it may be expensive for you, it's still undercutting all the other competitors, and those competitors sold out immediately. The first shipments of the Oculus Rift at $600 price point sold out in about 15 minutes, according to the reports. The HTC Vive sold at $800, sold out in less than 10 minutes. And yes, there is a point that there might have been a limited quantity of that. So yeah, you do have to keep in mind. And then there was this report that came out this morning that the initial shipments of PlayStation VR sold out in the UK. So everything we've been hearing about these VR devices is that they're selling out extremely fast in pre-orders. So that's the actual evidence and the numbers that we have to go off of, even though we don't know how much pre-orders they exactly were, but we know they're selling out. And yeah, you can say those are enthusiasts. Nevertheless, that's the proof we have, is that they're selling out. The next thing is the testimonials. Even people that are very skeptical, people that were not for VR in the beginning, they try it out. I'm talking about the biggest of skeptics. They try it out and they said they were impressed and they are on board. So it's making a believer out of some people. Next is, there was actually another report today that apparently Sony is selling the PlayStation VR at a profit, which is very unusual. Nobody expected that. They're selling this at a profit, so that's actually very good for them. The next thing that I think is a pro for VR is, it is kind of a gimmick in a way, and I think it's a gimmick that casuals would be interested in. It's an attraction, right? And simply because it's a new device, it's gonna have a new device and it's cheaper than the competitors, it's gonna automatically have consumer interest. So it's gonna sell just on consumer interest alone, and there are gonna be some of those casuals who are not, obviously not hardcore gamers, but you put them in this virtual reality world and they're impressed. So those are some of the things that I think are definitely working, in favor of VR. Some of the cons, just like I said, the October release date is a pro and a con. I think the way it works in a con is because October is obviously the fall season where there's obviously a lot of games coming out. So you're still putting people in this dilemma of, okay, well, am I going to get this PlayStation VR device for $400+? Or am I going to get all these, slew of games that come out around this holiday season? So they're choosing between, it's like I said, some people don't have that budget. So they're choosing between games and one VR device. And that's a tough choice. The other thing is, the PlayStation VR will have a bundle. So it is a good thing that they have a bundle. One without the camera and one with the camera. The Move controllers are optional. And, they were selling it without the camera, obviously, because some people already have it. And, selling two different bundles for a device is just, a smart business move. You don't want to give the consumer a device that they don't need, right? So giving them that choice in a bundle is a good thing, but also the bundle will cost more. The other con is that it's a peripheral. So when you make a peripheral, you're actually starting a subsection of your already existing device. So selling to a subsection in any category is always hard in any industry, because that's a smaller install base. And when you have this peripheral, you're pretty much resetting you're starting a new install base for people who are going to buy into these VR games. And I'm seeing some reports that, they're saying every Sony game is going to be compatible with VR. But I highly doubt that those games that weren't built from the ground up to be a virtual reality game are going to function the same way as the ones that were. I highly doubt that. So it's not going to be the same, as you actually playing a game that's built around virtual reality. So, just making that new install base for this peripheral is going to be somewhat, difficult, because now you're using the same resources you had before and making more games for a subsection. So it was definitely a task for them before already to make games just for the PlayStation. Now they have the same number of resources that have to make more games now. Another con is, as far as I'm concerned, there isn't really a must-have game right now. The only game that kind of has my interest is Rigs. That game looks cool. If I did get a PlayStation VR, that's the game I would get, right? But nothing really else is really striking out at me. The last two things, and these are just some things that came off the top of my head, is comfort and motion sickness. Not everybody is going to take to VR the same way. I know I'm pretty susceptible to, motion sickness. I've encountered it in different games. Comfort might be an issue with some people having that VR headset on their head for a while. Not everybody's head is built the same. Some people don't even like wearing headsets or, even gaming glasses or anything like that for a long time. So that's a factor that has to play into it. So yeah, my point is you can't just use your own personal, life and wallet to gauge whether this is going to be a success or a failure. You have to look at the market and determine it based on those factors, like what I just did. So there are pros and cons. There's good going for it, and then there's some bad things against it. So we just got to wait and see. Like I said, I don't know if it's good or bad. It may not even be supported. There's been a lot of peripherals that have ended up being a success but weren't supported down the line. It's very possible PlayStation VR could be a huge hit right off the bat and then kind of die off later on. That's very possible. I'm not even doubting that. But my opinion, do I think it's going to be a failure? I don't think it's going to be a failure and bomb like a lot of people think it's going to be. Do I think it's going to be a huge success? Do I predict any like Guinness breaking Book of World Records type stuff? No, I don't think it's going to break any records, but I definitely don't think it's going to fail. I think it's just going to do good. I think it's going to do all right, maybe above average, but I definitely don't think it's going to fail. So let me know what y'all think about this. I'm out of here. Peace.